Okay, folks, it's 6 o'clock. I'd like to welcome you to our July Town Board meeting. Town Clerk Greer, would you please take roll call?
Michael Farrar.
Present.
Dyson. Here. Caitlin Wisconsin. Here. Frank Sincarelli.
Here.
Dave Churchill.
Here.
Thank you. Would you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to start off tonight, regrettably start off, but on behalf of the town board and the people of Seneca Falls, I would like to express and ensure our prayers and thoughts are with the Farrar family after a tragic loss on Sunday. There's not many third-generation businesses in Seneca Falls left. This is a third-generation business. Started actually by my father and my uncle in 1958. And my family, my cousins have been running it since the death of their father. And it's a very difficult weekend. And the outpouring of support from the people of Seneca Falls has been great. And so I just want to express our thoughts and prayers with the family. They plan to plan. We're hoping to reopen. It's going to be a long process, but they hope to make some movement forward here. So, with that, there are so many people that the town of Seneca Falls needs to thank. I'm not going to do this very good justice, but I'll do it best I can. Again, on behalf of the town board, I would like to thank the Seneca Falls Fire Department, Waterloo Fire Department, Fayette Fire Department, Barrett Fire Department, Border City, Junius Fire Department, Canoga Fire Department, Lodi Fire Department, Aurelius Fire Department, Union Springs Fire Department, Clyde Fire Department, Geneva Fire Department, Oaks Corner Fire Department, North Seneca Ambulance, South Seneca Ambulance, Seneca Falls Police Department under the leadership of Chief Pinstra, Lieutenant Snyder, and Sergeant Sebastian Gentile. Seneca Falls Water Department, who was on the scene making sure water got to the site. That was a difficult thing. There's only so much water that can get through water lines. We had to open up our connection between Waterloo and Seneca Falls. So Joe Tullo and his staff were on site all afternoon, and I want to thank them. Seneca County Emergency Management, Seneca County Highway Department, fuel for the fireboat and fuel for our trucks. Seneca County Hazmat, Ontario County Hazmat, New York State Fire Inspection, and New York State Gas and Electric crews. We had to cut the power to that area. We couldn't isolate it, so if you live in that area, like I do, many of us lost power for a while, but we had to get the power off as best as we could. And if you lost some water pressure, that's because millions and millions of gallons of water was used to put the fire out. Fire was finally under control about 9:15 p.m. that night. It still continued to smolder and smoke yesterday and even this morning. I think we're now there's going to be flashbacks. They're on call, they're watching it. So again, on behalf of the town board, we want to thank all these agencies. If you had an opportunity to count as I was reading off, it was a 14 alarm fire. Probably the worst fire in Seneca Falls since 1895 when downtown Seneca Falls burned. Okay. Obviously, it's a lumber yard and a place that has a lot of different flammable materials, paint, stains, obviously wood, argon windows, etc., etc. So it was a very hot difficult fire. I was at a wedding in Geneva when I got the phone call at the Belhurst Castle, and we were outside, and the phone rang, and I happened to answer it, and then I looked up in the sky, and I mean, you could see the smoke coming all the way across Seneca Lake. Again, I want to thank all those agencies, all the professionals. Sometimes we, as a society, are critical of different things, but these are all first responders, okay? All of them, the fire departments, are volunteer fire departments, except for Geneva, which are the professional full-time firefighters. This is Sunday afternoon on July 4th weekend, and hours and hours they were there fighting. 80-degree temperatures outside, smoke. I was on the scene the whole night. It was awful. You couldn't see 5 feet in front of your faces. These guys are going in, these ladies are going in, one at a time. So anyway, thank all of them, and we'll move forward. Chief Pinstro, you have a presentation tonight?
Yes, sir. Linda, you want to come on up?
Do I have to?
Yes, you do. One last order. Let me squeeze in next. So, Linda began her career on July 7th, 1987 as a dispatcher for the village of Seneca Falls. Linda attended a 2-week dispatcher training school in Ontario County, where she likes to boast that she was the valedictorian. Linda was a dispatcher for the village of Seneca Falls until dispatching duties were combined with Seneca County 911 Center in 2019. At this time, Linda was reclassified under civil service as a data entry clerk and continued to work for the village of Seneca Falls Police Department until the village dissolved January 1st, 2012. At that time, Linda transitioned to the town of Seneca Falls Police Department as a data entry clerk, where she completed her career. Linda's last day of work will be this Friday, where she has served the village and town of Seneca Falls community for 35 years and 1 day. She didn't get that 1 day. So, on behalf of the Seneca Falls Police Department, all of us, your family at the police department, I'd like to present this plaque for you. For all of your 35 and 1 day years of service to the village and town of Seneca Falls.
Chief, one more.
Still back in order now.
The other retirees.
The other old lady.
There. Don't break it on your way home. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Linda, on behalf of the former village of Seneca Falls and the town of Seneca Falls and the town board, thank you for your years of service. Public service is difficult, and 35 years, God bless you. Thank you. Enjoy. Again, I keep saying this every time somebody retires. If you get a phone number that shows up on your ID, 568-8013, don't answer. Again, I'm sorry for that emotional part, but I can't emphasize enough with our local staff, our police department, our water department, our fire department, our highway department, all had a major play in what went on Sunday. I want to thank the Parks and Recreation under Missy Jones's leadership. We've had a successful Canal Fest weekend. I don't know if people really understand Canal Fest. It's not a town of Seneca Falls event. We support it. We you, the taxpayers, pay for the fireworks. Our staff between Parks and Recreation and Highway do a lot to help out, but it's really a Downtown Business Association event. It's great for Seneca Falls, but again, I want to thank all the people, town employees who did their more and above and beyond share of that event. Thank you. Do we have any petitioners? We don't have, we don't, right? Official, or privilege of the floor?
Yep.
Mr. Gilroy? It's all yours.
This is a hard one to follow.
You'll get it covered though.
And I do want to say, I feel bad for all the broken hearts following this fire, okay? I'm here to talk about garbage, which is always a fun topic. Once upon a time, probably back in the local law 3 time, all we heard is, what are we going to do with the garbage if the dump closes? Well, Seneca Falls Town Board Waste Management Advisory Committee launched ourselves on a 3-year project to set up a composting system here in town, okay? We walked the pavement, we talked the talk, we applied for a designated transfer station with the DEC, and that took a whole year of paperwork. We just want to change the way we handle garbage. It's baby steps, we know, but it's not easy when the biggest competitor is a giant pile of garbage on Route 414. But it is our responsibility as a community to respect our planet and move forward with environmentally friendly programs, but it's not free. Last month we asked for money to send postcard mailers to everyone in town. The cost is less than half the cost of a treadmill in the rec center. But the rewards are tremendous if we can get this composting program off the ground and really functioning. It's our opinion that a mailer sent directly to households would be the most efficient way for everyone to hear about the composting program. We ask the town to back this grassroots movement. And to answer the questions, what do we do with our garbage? Please support your own committee. Thank you.
Thank you. And just for the record, I think, last month we were looking into some options, different ways of doing things and so forth.
Yes.
So it'll be voted on up tonight, and you'll have my full support.
And we have been moving forward with grants and things like that.
Yep. MRB Group under Rhonda's direction, some prosperous or some potential grants that hopefully we can secure. And with that, I think, as I said from all along, I think the program would be a bigger success if we were able to provide people with their containers and an option for pickup and so forth. I think it would be great. So.
And that's down the road.
Yep.
These are baby stuff.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you. Okay, any other privilege of the floor tonight? Okay, with that, I'll move to approval of the minutes. Have a motion to approve the regular monthly meetings of June 7 minutes, please.
I make the motion.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Have a motion to approve the special board meeting minutes of June 15, 2022.
I make the motion.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
A second.
Thank you. Any discussion there? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. Communications in your packet, you had some multiple communications, minutes and so forth. Any questions on the communications part of your packet? Okay. Moving to old business, we only have one Damien fruit so far with the 60 State Street. From what I understand, we're getting pretty close.
Yes, we're getting close. I've been actually in touch with we have a map from the time that when the village dissolved, it was mapped. or we did not get a description at the time, though I was in touch with the surveyors. It took them a little bit of doing, but they were able to go through their records and get the description without having to come down and redo the whole thing. So, so we got things moving in the right direction there. And so we should be able to put that one, get that one off the list for the next
Great.
meeting.
Thank you. Any questions for Pat? Okay. We tabled the comprehensive plan proposal. I'd like to keep that on the table for now. I think after tonight we'll have a little bit more insights, and then we can reevaluate how we want to move forward with the comprehensive plan. Do I need a motion to keep it on the table, Pat, or just leave it there, right?
You can just leave it right there. Yes.
Anybody have any problems with that type of thing? Okay. Hopefully by August we'll have a little bit clearer picture. Okay. I have a resolution here, Solid Waste Management Committee request to fund mailing of postcards. Whereas the town of Seneca Falls has been encouraging organic composting, whereas the household waste program is a very slow start, whereas the Solid Waste Management Committee is requesting the town board authorize the mailing of postcards, whereas the cost for the mailing of postcards would be $1,700. Now therefore be it resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board authorize the mailing of postcards at a cost of $1,700, taken from the contingency account A1990-400. Have a motion for that, please?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Second?
I have a question about this first.
Can I get a second first, then we can ask all the questions, okay?
I'll second it just
Thank
so
you.
we can talk about it.
Okay, Caitlin.
So my first question is, how many days a week is this available? So I know that it's now at the farmer's market as well? Okay. Now, last month, Seneca Meadows had offered to have a bin at their facility as well. Are they being included in this because they're open more days a week?
That hasn't been decided yet.
Is it going to be discussed and decided upon?
Well, probably. But I don't want to discuss it here.
Okay. Well, I just think it might be pertinent to offer more days and availability to our community, especially if we're going to be coming forward with asking more money too and offering.
This has been a grassroots,
I understand.
and to now involve Seneca Meadows is a giant step we have to discuss.
Okay.
But we've been working on it for 3 years to keep organic waste out of the landfill, because that's where the smell is organic waste. And most people don't have, I mean, I collect this much in a week.
But there's also other people that also go to the landfill as well with their organic waste, and I'm assuming that they could probably use that location in 6 days a week versus the 2
Like
days
to talk
a
about
week.
that, Brian?
Yeah, we haven't really decided. I know that we did decide to have Kyle Black, the manager of Seneca Meadows, to put something in the newsletter quarterly when their newsletter comes out about the organic composting, but it hasn't been decided yet if we're going to have actually receptacles out of the landfill. Something we're talking about.
So it's being explored then?
It's not a bad idea. We just
Okay, as long as it's being explored. I mean, they're a community entity, and I'd like to see the cohesiveness within our community,
don't
because
have a
we have community
consensus
people
yet.
that utilize their establishment. So, I mean, it's just, I understand that there's some animosity, but there's also, they work with us, so I would like to still continue to utilize them.
Yeah, and I'm sure if the board, I mean, the board is in control technically, the committee is just an advisory thing. If the board says, hey, we're putting those bins out there at Seneca Meadows and they want them, there's nothing the committee can do about it. It's the town's project. We're just an advisory board trying to advise the town board about organic composting, trying to get that out of the waste stream so it might lessen the odor.
Right.
Things like that, but, like I say, we're just an advisory board, and our advice right now is to get the newsletter out or the postcard out to all the people in Seneca Falls and see if we can get more people to. We're trying everything. Every public market, we're handing out leaflets. Miss Schimmel, she's not here. She went and knocked on a lot of doors and handed out brochures. So we're trying different avenues to word of mouth. It's tough. The only thing that touches every person is either the water bill, and Sarah is trying to put something on the water bill. Everybody has a water bill. The postcard, yeah, we're not going to do it like an election. If there's 5 voters in the house, we're not going to send 5 postcards. Send 1 postcard to each individual person's home on the tax roll. We use the tax roll to do it. So we'll see if it goes. And I mean, I think we're realistic about it. If we don't get any participation, obviously, why are we going to keep spending taxpayers' money if we can't get a foot from shore for it? So we got $7,000 in the budget, probably going to need more money before the end of the year because business organic composting is going really well. The consumer one, individual household, is not going so well. The highway superintendent is here, and at the meeting we had the other day with Mr. Ferrara, me and him, 3 people came last weekend to put organic composting in the bin at the highway department. So we need somehow to get the word out. And if it doesn't pick up, people maybe just don't want to do it. I mean, you can't.
Do we have a sense, Frank, of how many people in the town are doing their own composting at home?
No, we don't have any. There are people, I think everybody on the committee is doing their own composting.
I think a lot more people than we think are doing it.
I think you're correct, because I spoke to people at the farmer's market that were doing their own compost.
Yeah, perhaps that question should be put on the postcard if it goes out.
It quite possibly has been in the literature. If you need help doing your own composting, we have information.
Right, but it would be of interest to me anyways, to know how many people are doing it today. Is it a dozen? Is it 100? Is it 1,000?
We don't really have any way of knowing.
Well, you could. I mean, you could solicit that input on the website.
You gotta go to the website.
Website. How many people looked at the town website today? Raise your hand. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I didn't even look.
What's your point?
My point is, 7 out of, let's say, 40 people here, or 30, you make that as a fraction. What I'm saying, not enough people look at the town website and do anything.
How many people looked at the town website in the last week? Now count them up.
10.
You're having a problem with math.
Well, but you could argue the same thing about this postcard. It's going to come in with a final mail, and it's probably just going to go over there.
In the recycling bin, I hope.
I don't agree with that, because I think women look at that and put it on the refrigerator and say, kids, let's try to do this. And maybe it'll go in the recycling, but the same with every other flyer that goes out in election time.
I throw all those in the recycling bin. I throw all those in the recycling bin too. Mr. Black, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
There's been a lot of, thank you, there's been a lot of programs over the years at the school. Barb Reese ran quite a few of them at the school. And you know what? Those kids don't do anything. They don't do anything. They don't care. The school doesn't do anything. The school does a terrible job of recycling. They throw away food waste in the trash by the tons. It's just not done. It's not done, and I don't know why. If you can't do it in a place like a school, I don't know. We're just missing.
But she was doing it at the school.
Yeah, but it's not consistent. We aren't teaching kids to recycle, to reuse, and we talk about.
Well, isn't this a way to do that? Start teaching kids?
You got to get hands-on, and it's just not happening.
Okay.
Well, we still do it at Waterloo. Well, not we, because I'm not there anymore, but I started the program at Waterloo, and I kind of worked with Barb in Seneca Falls. And they still do it in Waterloo, composting, separating lunch, We went, back when I was principal, we went from 16, 17 bags of garbage for lunch down to 3. And we compost everything back then. So, you're right, it takes time. And
Well,
it
COVID
takes,
changed a lot of it too. I mean,
it's a cultural change, you know? It's a
we
cultural
produce
change.
way too much waste, let's face it.
It's like,
When we went to school, what did we get? We got a plastic tray and a silver, spoon, fork, and knife. There was nothing to go in the trash.
And a plastic dish. They used it over.
They used it over and over.
Kyle?
Couldn't do it.
Yeah, so I have attended the last 2 meetings, and that was discussed. The committee is talking about that. We also, again, made the point that you kind of have 2 places where your residents go in Seneca Falls. They use Jimmy's facility and the facility that's been set up for that, and they use us. So that was the offer, is to help educate, because this is about education, and it's about pounding that message. And it is good for everybody, including us, the landfill. So more than happy to help with that education, along with the mailers and that continuous message of when people are coming in to say, hey, we have this composting thing, and more than happy to help to push that and get it in there instead of putting it in the landfill.
Thank you. Okay, any other discussion? All in favor of expending the $1,700, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. I'm sure your committee is going to facilitate all that, right? Okay.
The postcards are ready. We just need
Great.
stamps.
Okay, approval of special events. Can I have a motion to approve a special event from Generations Bank, National Women's Hall of Fame? I think that's only 2.
We'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion or questions for Missy on those? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. You received all the department's reports for the month. A couple of them were a little late. But anyway, you received them. Any questions for department heads?
Yeah, I would like to know, I'd like to get an update on what's occurring out on Balsley and 414 regarding the injection of leachate into the sewer system. And there's a smelling issue and issues in several of the businesses out there where their traps have essentially, the trap is the part that holds water in our houses under our sink, toilets, bathtubs. What that does is it prevents sewer gas from coming back into our house. That's why it's called a trap. Keeps the gas out. There are businesses along that corridor, Bonnet, Water Container, Hampton Inn, that have had those traps, essentially the water blown out or sucked out, and they've been experiencing tremendous gas. I think it's been attributed to the leachate that is being pumped into our sewer system, and it was about a month or so ago that process was stopped until it could be investigated, and I'd like to kind of get an update on that. Where are we?
So the update is...
Let me backtrack some stuff first, okay? There was never an issue with Benedette.
No, that's not what but that's what you heard.
That's a true story. It's not even the same sewer line, so.
Well, okay.
It's not even the same sewer line.
Well,
Okay, again, if we're gonna talk facts, let's talk facts. It's not even the same sewer line.
it's in the same sewer system.
It's not even the same sewer.
It's in the same sewer system. There's no check valves in sewer systems, correct?
One
Is there a
pipe,
check valve?
the pipe that goes from Waterloo Container from the landfill.
I understand it goes down
Balsley Road.
That's correct. I understand all that.
Okay,
But I also understand that there has been an issue with Bonnet. So let's
landfill
just agree to disagree on that. But I don't
There's been an
want
issue of
people-
landfill
no, I don't want
smell
people
with that.
here to believe that your answer is correct and mine is wrong.
sure.
You're
Not a
getting
problem.
2 different opinions here, and you're from 2 different sources.
I'm gonna base it on facts, okay?
I'm basing mine on fact as well.
Okay. So with that, the issue was identified, and between the efforts of Seneca Metals and the town, we cambered the sewer line. We found no blockage. We did smoke tests that proved negative. We washed the system, and then the landfill on their end did a major overhaul of their RO system, which is a reverse osmosis that cleanses leachate before it gets to the sewer line.
When we say old system, it was put in 2010 or 12?
RO system.
RO. Oh, okay, reverse. I thought you said old.
No, RO. And they're in the process of starting up a new system that will handle leachate as well, but that's a different issue. Our engineers, under the direction of Peter Baker during the time, and now under the direction of Leeson and Aaron from B&L, has worked back and forth with the engineers of B&L. I'll let Leeson speak to that. Leeson, we are satisfied as to what has happened, and that we've given them the permission to start doing leachate again. It has not started yet, they have not done that, but we've cleared the way. Go ahead, Leeson.
Yep, that's correct. We, as Supervisor Farrar mentioned, did numerous inspections as well as SMI, and we came up with different precautions and maintenance measures that SMI has been instructed to move forward with, and this includes a monitoring system. We installed a monitor inside the wet well at SMI that discharges into the town sewer system, and there are different triggers that when a certain limit is reached, they will basically sound an alarm that will allow us to understand that levels may be too high. And
Is that just the volume of the leachate that they're putting in? Is that what it's monitoring?
it's monitoring, I believe, the
It's monitoring the sulfur. Hydrogen sulfur.
Yes.
Smell.
Yes. So there's different limits. I can get you more information on that. Our engineer, Erin Ryan, has experience with that, and so she's been working on reviewing that information, and there were numerous back and forth letters and responses to that, and I believe the last letter that was sent on from SMI was reviewed by B&L and the town and found to be acceptable. Supervisor Farrar, I don't know if you had sent that on.
I did.
So we get this report from SMI. We don't have immediate on-hand access to that monitoring system?
We do.
Okay.
B&L installed that.
And so that was installed after the leachate was essentially turned off?
We shut everything off, and they were not allowed to send
And it hasn't
anything
been
back.
turned on since?
Correct.
No.
So we haven't monitored anything since leachate has been injected into the...
Nothing's
Nothing to monitor.
been,
Right, that's what I'm just trying to clarify.
no triggers have been
I mean, I
identified.
kind of also seem to say that there's a report and that everything looks good. Well, if you're not putting leachate in, I don't know what you're reporting then.
I'm sorry, it was installed to monitor once leachate is allowed back in the system, and there are set trigger points that will alarm if there is too much hydrogen sulfide identified, which will
And
then...
Lisa, I apologize
Yeah.
for putting you on the spot.
No, that's okay.
Lisa is our engineer for the townwide. She's really not handling SMI, that part of that. Aaron Ryan from B&L is handling that part of it, so I apologize
No problem, yeah.
for that. I have in communication with SMI. Last week, when I talked to David Panucci, who's an engineer there, says, I'll let you know when we start, if we start.
Don't we tell them when they can start?
We have cleared the way, they can start anytime they want.
Anytime they want?
We are
Do we
satisfied.
know as soon as they do?
They're going to notify me when they start adding leachate to the
Could
system.
you let me know?
Absolutely, I'm going to let everybody know. Absolutely. I'm going to let Waterloo Container know, and I'm going to let the other businesses in that area. I'm going to let Benedette know, but I'll let the rubber ones know that it's back online. Chief, you're about 20 minutes too late, but you're more than welcome.
Pleasure to see you.
Long time no see. So, yes, that's where it's at. And again, with the new system that is almost ready to start up, hydrogen sulfide gas won't even be an issue anymore because that removes that completely in the new system. This is state-of-the-art technology. Theoretically, according to all the research I've done, if with this system, SMI leachate wouldn't have to be treated by the town of Seneca Falls. It could actually be,
Well, treating it at our wastewater treatment plant does absolutely no good, because there is nothing in a human wastewater treatment plant that is set up to process leachate. Simple as that.
That's not even close to being true.
Okay, all right, well, you're saying that does our plant remove PFAS? It does.
No, not our plant, not our plant. The reverse osmosis plant,
Okay.
the process.
You know, you just made a statement though that, so the new one's gonna make it, boy, it's just gonna be absolutely clean. That's exactly what they said 10, 12 years ago when they put in the reverse osmosis system.
That one does take PFAS out. It's a known fact. The data's there.
But no, but I mean, it was sold as being a filtration system
It is.
that produced so clear and clean a water that you could almost drink it.
Well, I don't
Not
know.
gentle core,
I would-
you could almost drink it. Well,
Would-
then how
would
the
you-
hell did we ever have why do we need to put in a second one that cleans the leachate before it goes into the old system, or whatever it's, because I thought this one is a pre-leachate.
Better technology. When new technology becomes available,
So now it gets
we
it even
bring it
cleaner?
online.
Gets it even cleaner?
It would be,
Yes.
Well, if it's that clean, why don't they just dump it in Black Brook and not do our,
they would be able to do that.
why don't they?
Well, they prefer to do business with the town of Seneca Falls. But
We don't
theoretically,
need it in our waste treatment.
Well, I think if you talk to your wastewater treatment plant operator and your engineers, it doesn't hurt your process in any way, shape, or form. It actually can help it at times.
But do we test for PFAS? Do
Leachate
we
helps.
know?
we do not, it's not required to test for.
It's not required, but don't you think?
Why would we
it's a good
spend
idea?
hundreds of thousands of dollars at the town to test for PFAS at the wastewater treatment plant? We test for PFAS on the water side of it, when it comes
Right, when
to,
it comes in.
when it comes in our faucets, okay? That's all tested. We never have been violated for PFAS, ever,
It's not
okay?
PFAS.
Pardon?
That's not, it's PFAS.
I know what it is, I know what it is, but you're missing the point. The point is, our drinking water is tested for PFAS, okay?
But you put it in the canal and in Bagley Lake.
But again, you've got to
That's where we gotta
You're putting
test.
it in the surface water that our drinking water is drawn from.
we're putting it in the, it is clean,
Okay.
okay? It's no different, as we all know, we all generate this chemical, okay? When people ask me, would it be clear as water, would you drink it? No, I wouldn't drink it. But you know what? I wouldn't drink my sewage from my house either. It's the same thing.
What?
Would you drink sludge, wastewater?
You're just telling me you got a glass of pure stuff there?
No, that's what everybody says. That's what everybody says. It's clear as water, and it's supposed to be, it's no problem. I wouldn't drink anybody's sewer stuff, would you?
But you're pouring it in the canal.
We're pouring your waste in the canal too. It goes to the waste treatment
Okay.
plant.
We're talking about a forever toxin. We're
Yeah.
not talking about just little
And one of many.
And again, if you
thousands and thousands of forever
if you
toxins.
follow the science, okay?
Uh-huh,
The reverse osmosis process that is done at the landfill
uh-huh.
removes, not all of them, but
Right, there you go.
But again,
All of them.
Gene, I dental floss every night.
Uh-huh.
You know how many PFAS are there? Any idea? How about this cup of coffee I'm drinking?
You know what, it's.
So let's put
science is
more in
changing
there,
all
to your
of it.
point, Mike. Let's just keep loading it right in. I mean, I don't get your point. It's in the environment, it's bad, it's a suspected carcinogen. So you're just saying, hey, we gotta live with it. No, bull crap, we gotta live with it. We need to stop it. It needs to be processed by facilities that can process it.
We are.
It's not a wastewater treatment plant, believe me.
Right.
There's a facility in Endicott and in Niagara and in New Jersey that handle these types of chemicals. It's not a municipal wastewater treatment plant.
Why?
Because it's not designed to process chemicals coming out of a landfill.
Joe?
PFAS?
Yeah.
I'm not getting involved in that.
And that's just
The
one.
engineers can.
Yeah.
I'm not, this is not regulated as a wastewater plant yet.
Yeah.
Right, so, we deal with it as the regulations see fit with Department of Health.
Yeah, and you wouldn't
And
expect,
I'm not
and you wouldn't expect it to be coming through a wastewater treatment plant, because most towns and villages don't have a mega landfill that's injecting their leachate into their their sewer treatment.
That's for,
Yeah, exactly. It's for this board to discuss.
Yes, sir.
It's for the public to be aware of.
yes, sir.
And they should be scared.
Follow the facts. Follow the science, follow the facts.
Absolutely, Mike.
That's what I'm
I do both.
Good. Real
You
good.
should start.
Right.
Instead of just buying whatever
What
they
is
tell
going through
you.
the
I don't buy
RO?
what they tell me.
The
trust me.
majority of the PFAS were removed, and that was removed before PFAS.
The last
was
time the
even in
DEC
discussion.
tested for them was 2018.
Right, and we installed our system back in 14, 15 before it was even on the radar. So it's been out of the permeate.
Yeah, well,
when it comes to use
how long did
since
you
then.
inject raw leachate from that landfill directly into our
Before the technology was available?
Before that reverse osmosis was put in, leachate, raw leachate was going into our sewer system. Correct?
Some of it was, with the
There
village,
you
it
go.
no longer does
Think
that.
about
Every
that
bit of it,
toxic brew.
every
That was
bit of
okay.
it,
And
that's
that
why
waste treatment plant,
every
the
bit of it
process,
that's been
that's right in the
removed
canal.
since the RO system has had that removed.
My understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, that leachate was so nasty that it would knock down the anaerobic
But that's
activity.
not what's in there now, Steve, that's what
I'm not-
hasn't
yeah,
been in there
I was
for
just saying,
50
prior to
years.
2014, for many, many years.
Yes, it started, the village of Seneca Falls.
How the hell did that ever get sold to the village?
Steve, the village of Seneca.
This is how. Money, 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 money. That's all it's about, folks. That's the only reason we take all this crap.
Steve, the village of Seneca Falls in 1996.
I understand all that.
Okay, but it has nothing
Signed
to
an
do with
agreement.
anybody in this room. Why they started taking raw leachate in 1996, I have no
We should
idea.
take zero. It should be tankered off to facilities that can process leachate. We should be taking none in our sewer treatment.
Well,
And that's one of the reasons we have to expand our sewer, because of that landfill and what they're injecting in there every night.
that's not true.
That's not
You
true.
know,
It's not
over
true.
100,000 gallons a day. And that's what's defined in the contract.
Up to, it never comes that much.
No, it's not up to. They can put in more than 100,000.
Like I said, they never meet that quota.
Well, they can put in more than 100,000.
Steve, what I would suggest, if you'd like to do, okay, when you can, the leachate that is put into the sewer system, if you would like to test that before it gets into the sewer system, you're more than welcome to do that. I will personally pay for it. You can send it to an independent lab and then come back with the science. And then you'll find out exactly what the contamination
Well, that's
is.
the DEC's job, and they're doing a
No, it's not.
pitiful
I
job.
got
It's
an
the
option
town's
for
job.
you. I have an option for you, okay?
Well, so I've got to, you want me to trust that I'm going to go out there and they're going to give me...
No, you can go with Joe. Joe will bring you to the well. Joe will give you a bottle. You can bring it to an independent
Leachate
lab.
should not be running through our waste treatment plant. I'm going to leave it at that.
As I can, follow the science. Any other questions for any department heads? Deb, can you give us a little brief upview on what's happening so far with the revale?
The field work has started almost 2 weeks now. You see a little truck that looks like this stuff, clearly marked on the side of the doors, and the back of the truck on the gate has ENPM, it's the name of the company. Sue and Brian are the two people with a tablet. They don't go on anybody's property. They'll stand on the sidewalk or drive around in the truck. They're almost done. They're in areas 10 and 11. I can't recall off the top of my head where 10 is, but I know 11 is my street, Washington Street, that area, Troop.
So they've done this side already over here?
It's been spotty.
I don't think so, Don. I don't think the south side's been
I
on
think
the north
10
side.
might have been Ovid Street,
Yeah. Yeah.
this area. And every time they start a section, they tell me, I send it to Chief, Mike, and Melissa for the webpage, and just to make people aware of where they are.
Because they did the manor, right?
I believe they did, yes. And if somebody wants them to come in their house or step on the property, they're more than happy to. Other than that, so far, it's going smoothly. Anything else,
Thanks, Deb.
Mike? Yeah.
Any questions for Rhonda at MRB or Leeson from B&L? Okay.
Thank you.
I have a resolution here, I'm sorry. Where you want to go, buddy? want that one? You want the police one? We have two of them, right? I have a resolution here from Chief. Whereas the Seneca Falls Police Department continually recruits to obtain qualified police recruit candidates in order to replace vacant positions. Whereas the Seneca Falls Police Department has been actively recruiting, interviewing, and conducting background investigations for an anticipated vacant police officer. Whereas upon completion of the hiring process, it is the recommendation of the Police Chief, Public Safety Committee, and Personnel Committee to backfill this vacant position with Colin Zettelmeyer. Therefore, be it resolved that the town board accept hiring Colin Zettelmeyer at a contractual hourly rate of $23.71. Police recruit Zettelmeyer will begin work on July 11th, 2022 at the Syracuse Police Academy as anticipated graduate and begin field training at Seneca Falls Police Department on January 11th, 2023. Have a motion for that, please?
Make a motion.
And a second? Thank you. Any questions or discussion for Chief Pinstra? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody
Is Colin
opposed?
here?
So carried. Colin, congratulations. I won't put you on the spot, Colin, and, but we anticipate a long career here. Your father obviously was a dedicated police officer, and hopefully you will continue in this footstep.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Congratulations. Okay, can I go back on? I have a resolution here, whereas the Water and Sewer Department has an opening for a laborer, and whereas the position is in the current budget, therefore be resolved that Seneca Falls Town Board give permission to fill said position. Have a motion for that, please.
There's another resolution for...
Pardon me?
There's another resolution for...
I know, I'm just following along with the town clerk telling me to.
We just wanted that one because it's all families here.
Okay.
Anyway, have a motion for that, please. So moved. Second? I will second it. Discussion.
Who made the motion?
I think you make the motion? No. You didn't make the motion? I made the motion. Have a second, please.
Which one was it for?
We are doing
Water.
the Water and Sewer Department laborer.
Well, that's the one that was 3 lines, no letterhead, no date, no nothing.
Yeah.
You're gonna bail me out here, or you're gonna throw me under the bus? Continue to throw me under the bus.
I wrote it. Well, whoever wrote it, I mean, it's like, wow.
So, Frank, who wrote it?
I wrote it.
Oh, there you go, all right.
I wrote it.
Okay, don't tell me, tell him, I don't care.
See how nice that is? You know what it's about. I mean, that thing came through, I thought it was a mistake. I'm just saying, we've had this discussion.
Okay, so I have a motion and no second. Okay, thank you. For the record, okay, because now it's becoming a little bit for the record, we approved filling vacancies in the Seneca Falls Police Department, so they're fully staffed. You're going to be considering a resolution in a little bit to make the Highway Department fully staffed. And we're not going to have the Water and Sewer Department fully staffed.
Well, the resolution...
And something
what
is seriously wrong with the fact that...
Didn't we just move on from that resolution?
No, we
Yeah, we
did.
did.
I can talk all I want.
Well, then I'll
The
start talking.
resolution
You know,
doesn't...
the other day,
This is-
Say again?
The resolution doesn't, this is just my issue with the resolution. It doesn't have, whereas the other one cites in terms of what this pay is gonna be, right? And it doesn't even have that on it. So what is the pay gonna be for this person?
I'm not quite sure what a laborer position is.
$17.49 an hour.
So again, when you second something, doesn't mean you necessarily support it. It means you can have a discussion.
It
and
just
ask
doesn't seem like
questions.
a very official resolution in
No,
comparison to the other
it doesn't.
ones.
Again, I didn't write the
That doesn't,
resolution.
right, so,
bring it back next month if you want. The
I would
other thing,
prefer to
the other
see more
point I
official
think too,
resolution.
and I'm not 100% sure of this, But it seemed to me that we've had a discussion on the previous board about how we take laborers, train them, move them up. And I questioned in the past, well, then are we gonna replace the laborer position? No. No, we're just training these people, but you know, if we just keep moving everybody up and make them chiefs, and then we backfill all these labor positions, we've got more positions than we need in sewer and water. And I don't know that we do, like I said.
We don't.
But,
We don't. They are down a man, whether it be a laborer.
when did the person leave in that position?
That's been probably a year, Joe, that you've been down a person.
Okay, so how are we have we been able to get along in the past year without that person?
Well, I can answer that, but is this still on the?
No, but he wants to talk about it. We may as well, I don't want, I get sick and tired of hearing one side.
So Steve, I've justified, I believe, to the Water and Sewer Committee, with the work that we have scheduled and the work we're trying to get done right now. And no, we have not been able to keep up. We're just keeping our heads.
See, and that's all the stuff that should be in a real resolution. So I would say bring it back next month and try to, you know, convince the board that we need it.
You're gonna take care of that?
No, I'll let you write it. I
It
can
doesn't
write
work
it.
that way.
All right, I'll write it. No problem. I can make it a whole page long. Yeah, I can write a long, lengthy one.
Is it, Frank, will you put in detail, like, job description of what it's gonna be as
Yeah,
well?
I can put all that.
Thank you.
So anytime we're having,
No,
we're consistent, listen, so we're consistent, okay? Anytime we were hiring a new position, you folks want to know what the job description is in the resolution. You want to know what the hourly rate is in the resolution, okay? Anything else you want in the resolution?
Well, I don't want this
I understand,
in comparison to
I understand.
this. So
I
just let me,
understand.
far more official in terms of
You
expectation.
just gotta let me know what you want, that's all.
Absolutely.
You want job
That's-
description, hourly rate,
Yes, perform.
budget
all the-
line
all the
item,
job-
et cetera, right?
Perform the job
Okay.
duties of specific
Just we know what they're gonna be
Absolutely.
doing.
and hourly rate,
I
et
just
cetera.
want to be
So,
consistent,
yes.
so department heads, everybody
seems
hear
to be
that?
fair. I mean,
Department heads, when you come for a new hire, make sure that you have all that information in the resolution, okay? All right, I have another resolution. Whereas the water department, water treatment plant is working to install a CO2 injection system, and said system is used to aid in the treatment of toxins from harmful algae blooms, and whereas a special contractor...
So moved.
Thank you, have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or discussions for Joe? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Resolution. Whereas the highway department would like to hire a motor equipment operator light to replace the one that is left, whereas the highway department will use this person to perform all the duties of a motor equipment operator light.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Any questions? So what does a motor equipment operator light do? You know, Don?
I know.
I know.
What does it do, Jim?
Same thing you do. No,
Nothing.
he operates all the truck, all the equipment we got. He does the blacktopping, everything that a motor equipment operator does, he does. He's like a trainee under them. But he operates all the equipment that we got.
And he starts out at $22 an hour, the same as your
That's
regular
insane.
guys?
That's the midpoint right there for a motor equipment operator. That's the midpoint.
Even though he's a trainee, he still
The reason he's
gets...
starting out there is because he worked for Seneca County Highway Department, and then he moved from there to the Fayette Highway Department. He's already trained on all the equipment that we have up at the shop. That's why we brought him in. That's why I brought him in at this rate. That's below halfway point in the pay matrix.
How long you been down a person?
Well over a year,
How'd you gotten by?
because I put you in the truck.
Pardon?
Because I put you in the truck. No, it's just, we're...
I'm just trying to be,
Blacktop, I know.
I'm just trying to be consistent and fair.
Right.
That's all I'm
I
trying to do.
mean, we're behind the eight ball just like Joe is. I mean, we've got to have guys. to fill these positions.
Do you have people out right now?
Yes, I've also got one person out on disability. He might not be back. We're not sure. So I'm still down a guy right now.
We were here 2 months ago replacing this position before the person, we appointed him, and he took a job with the village of Waterloo that paid more money. So we never actually got a person in.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. Whereas the highway department would like to purchase 95 large garbage totes for,
I make a motion that we purchase the 95 totes for $7,000.
have a second, please? Second. Thank you. Any questions or discussion for Jim? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. You want me to read any words from it, or you want to just? All right. We have a resolution, whereas the highway department would like to add to the budget line DA 5110.408, $331,000, which represents Jim's salary. This money comes from the CHIP program, Pave New York program, Extreme Winter Recovery program, and Pave our potholes. Anyway, this will give us a chance.
All right, I make a motion, we,
Thank you. Second. Again, this happens every year. We have to move money around. When the projects are done, the state reimburses us, and then we take care of that line.
a lot of that money is being used on Garden Street, right?
There's 2 roads that will be paved this year, Garden Street and Noble Road. All the work that's being done on Garden Street as far as the drainage gutters comes out of that CHIPS money. Okay, any questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. We have a resolution here during the June 7th regularly scheduled town board meeting. The town board approved the resignation of Officer Joseph Schaefer. Whereas since the June 7th board meeting, the Seneca Falls Police Department has been actively recruiting, interviewing, and conducting background investigations. Whereas upon the completion of the hiring process, it is the recommendation of Public Police Chief, Public Safety Committee, and Personnel Committee to backfill this position with Devin Hathaway. Therefore, be it resolved that the town board accepts backfilling the vacant, full-time police officer position with Devin Hathaway at the contractual hourly rate of $23.71. Police recruit Hathaway will begin work on July 11th, 2022 at the Syracuse Police Department and is anticipated to graduate and begin field training at the Seneca Falls Police Department. Motion, please.
Make a motion.
Thank you. Second.
A second.
Thank you. Discussion or question? Chief, what's the police officer going to do? What's his job?
Why do you have to be like that?
I'm not.
You're being
I can
facetious.
answer the question.
You're being facetious.
I can ask the question. Can I ask the question?
You can ask the question, but you're being very,
I'm not being sarcastic. I think I'm being consistent.
Okay.
I want to know what the police officer is going to do. I want to know how the police department survived without this person. I'm being consistent.
That's being sarcastic.
Yeah, it is. Sarcasm from the best. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried.
The senior?
He is here, Mike. Can we introduce him?
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. You guys going to academy school together?
Yes, sir.
You guys know each other?
Yes, sir, we do.
Already beforehand.
They currently work out at the jail, Seneca County Correctional Facility.
Huh? Both of you?
Yes, sir.
They work.
I wonder why we're closing the meeting.
Really? Unfortunately, I'm also a county supervisor, it comes with the job, and so I'm gonna get a lot of abuse that you guys are leaving the county and coming into. I think I've already gotten the abuse. Well, welcome to Seneca Falls and best of luck to you. Good luck. Thanks, sir. Thanks, guys. Kevin? Kevin?
Yes, sir.
Who's your dad?
David Hathaway?
David?
Yes, sir.
Mike, your uncle?
Which?
Mike Hathaway, the construction guy?
No.
No.
You guys leaving already? You're missing all the fun.
Second session.
Okay, I have a resolution here to appoint Peter Socha as the town manager, whereas the town board allocated $100,000 to fund the newly created town board manager in January of 2022, whereas the town board conducted a public hearing and passed a local law to create the position of town manager in February of 2022, whereas an extensive job description was created and the town solicited for qualified applicants, whereas the town supervisor established an interview committee, whereas the interview committee unanimously recommended to the town board Peter Socha, and the town board had the opportunity to interview Mr. Socha. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of Seneca Falls appoint Peter Socha to the position of town manager at an annual salary of $92,000, and that Mr. Socha will resume the duties of town manager on Monday, August 1st, 2022. Mr. Socha will be influencing the town policy and will be considered a confidential employee. The term of this appointment will be effective until August 1st, 2025. Have a motion for that, please.
I'll make a motion.
Second? I will second that. Any questions? Any discussion?
Yeah, I'm going to, I didn't support, nor did the previous board, and I don't know if people caught it. There is money allocated for this, but it was not budgeted for this position. So money was essentially just taken from the big pile of dump money we have and moved it to create this position. I didn't support the creation of this position, and I don't. But I do want to say that I have met Peter Socha, and I think he's a fine gentleman. He has outstanding credentials. Personally, I think he's overqualified for the job. I don't think there's enough meat on the bone to justify a town manager, but I think he certainly can do a good job. But all that said, I think I would be contradicting myself if I support his appointment. But I don't want to vote against him, so I'm going to abstain from this vote tonight.
Any other questions or discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. One abstention, I'm sorry. Council, board member. Peter, welcome to Seneca Falls. Peter is born and raised in Seneca Falls, graduated from Miners Academy, actually worked for the department, the village Department of Works when he was in high school, and then when he graduated, moved on to, got his undergraduate degree from the St. John Fisher College, and then went to work for Eastman Kodak, and then after Eastman Kodak folded up, not to any blame on Peter for that, but Peter began teaching classes at a community college at Genesee Community College. They moved him to Dansville, where he started a campus at Dansville, spent time in Dansville, was married, still married, 2 children. Went from Dansville to Newburgh, New York, down in Orange County Community College to run that campus. And then from there to Charleston, West Virginia to run that campus. Came back home to Seneca Falls during COVID. His parents are still alive, his wife's parents are still alive. Wasn't able to go back to West Virginia during COVID, and fell back in love with Seneca Falls and stayed. And he's been, actually saw a need to help out the community. So all of last year, when we couldn't find school bus drivers at the district, Peter stepped in and became a substitute bus driver for us in a very difficult time. So Peter will be starting August 1st. His office will be in the water and sewer office, the former office of Bev. His office, Bev Werfel, his office will be there. And we're looking forward to a very long and meaningful term with you, Peter, and I want to congratulate you and thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. And Peter, your first job, let's see, you start August 1st, and our next board members meeting is August 2nd. So your job is to make sure any resolution that comes from department people are done correctly.
I will
That would be
work
your
on a
job.
template. Between now and then,
Yep.
it'll all be,
That would be your job.
I'll have a nice Google Doc.
Okay.
Signage.
Where am I, H?
You're on a J.
I'm at a J.
Now this is going to.
Yep, all together. Okay. So the next three items on the new business agenda is work being done by our committee, zoning and planning committee, meets on a regular basis every month with the leadership of MRV and Pat Morrell and Dan Amo and Frank Brazuca, Peter Porcelli, again, working on making things better, more friendly for people and covering the bases. So we have three items tonight that we've been working on. One deals with signage, one deals with short-term rentals, and one deals with anaerobic digesters. So now these will be covered in our zoning laws, which they're not, the last two are not at all, and we're trying to clean up the signage zoning requirements. So that's what these are all about.
Can we talk about it now?
Pardon?
Can we talk about it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
First on this.
Well, let me do the resolution
Oh, we
first.
gotta do that, okay.
I have to do the resolution.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry.
So a resolution introducing proposed local law and providing for public hearing, section 300-54 signs. Whereas the town board of Seneca Falls believes it is advantageous to the town to amend the town code as it relates to signs. Now therefore be resolved the proposed local law of the year 2022, a local law to amend section 300-54 and be the same as hereby introduced before the town board of the town of Seneca Falls. Can I have a motion for that, please?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Anybody want to second the sign?
I have questions on this before I go.
Okay,
I'll
you don't have to second it, you don't have to second.
Dawn second.
Okay, so just because anybody who makes a motion or seconds it doesn't mean you have to support it. It just means it opens it up for discussion.
Right.
And then you can vote no at the end of that if you don't want to discuss it.
Correct. But if something does not receive a second,
Correct.
it's dead.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah,
Correct.
It doesn't-
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a question. Now,
What's updated from the previous in terms of, because the last discussion that we had was political signs. There's nothing in here about political signs. And it was my understanding that that's just kind of a known thing that now political signs can't be on town property.
It's in there.
I didn't see anything in here about political signs.
there was always, political signs on public property was always in our code, okay? It was never enforced. It's now being enforced. So previously, people running for office could have thrown a sign on kids' territory, out in front of the town hall, or on the bridge, or any place they wanted to, and nothing was ever done. And now it's being enforced that they're not allowed on public property. Any political signs or any banners or anything type of thing on public property. And as far as the signs in town that are of, distaste to people that use.
The vulgar language.
Right. Again, based on Supreme Court decisions, we don't have the authority to say you can't put that sign up, okay? So we try to address it by limiting the number of signs one person can have and the size of the sign. So with that, it's a very small sign that potentially you could put up saying F Biden, but we can't stop it 100%.
This was put to, you said it's not, you said political signage is not necessarily addressed in the words of this proposed local law, and that's intentional. This is very much trying to regulate signs and signage, not the message of a particular sign from anybody.
Well,
We call it content neutral, try to be as content neutral as we could.
I guess I take some issue with, restricting some individuals, right to display, you know, their freedom of speech in some ways, you know, so I guess what you're saying is just, it's the size that you're restricting, right?
Yep. Number of signs and the size.
So someone with the big flags flying, they would have to take those down because they're not in the regulations for the size.
There are some exemptions for flags, like you'd have an American flag.
Well, no, you know what flags I'm talking about.
Flags, those
Well,
are
he's changed them. It's not, that flag isn't up anymore. So
Oh.
it can't be the size of a flag anymore? What size is it?
If you have it as a sign, if you have it attached on all four corners, then that's a sign as opposed to a flag that's waving around. But at any rate, yes, the size of that would come under this and would be restricted.
So the event banners downtown Seneca Falls can no longer fly? Public property?
The event banners, they would need to get a permit anyway. They would need to get a permit from, you need a Department of State, State Department of Transportation across the street.
Right, but does it violate our laws, my question, not the state law?
I don't know. I have to look at it in terms of what this specifically says about that.
Well, if you don't know, we certainly don't.
Well, the intent is not
We're
limited.
setting up a public hearing for next month.
Well, but the intent has to be that it's not arbitrary. It's not gray. It has to be understandable. And it can't be selective.
That's why we tried to make it generic, so not just to,
Yeah, but I heard you make a statement that no signs on public property. Well,
Right.
that would be a sign on a public property, a banner across Wall Street.
not really, it'd be between a building and a building that we don't know, right? The air is not, I mean, it's not, how's it public property?
It's not, the airspace it's over public domain. I mean, that highway is public domain, it's public property.
Yeah, I don't think we own Fall Street.
No, we don't own Wall Street, but I don't know. I don't think it's, I don't know, it seems pretty limited to me.
Well, again, it's always been on the books about signs and public property. It's always been on the book.
Well, and then there's a problem, right? So you don't enforce it for years and years and years and years, and now we're saying, well, it's always been there, now we're gonna enforce it. Well, we better be careful how we
Well,
enforce it.
similarly, and I'm sorry to interject, Steve, but similarly on the last part, it says signs in a historic district, that any signs that residents put out will need prior authorization from the historical district commissioner. Is that accurate? And in talking to Peter, that's always been in place?
Yes.
Yeah, that part isn't a change. That's
No,
what
it's
it's
been in the
saying.
book.
It's just saying that the conditions imposed on the historic district also apply to signs.
Like when Sackett Street or Sackett Harbor opened up, they had to come before the HPC and ask permission to put up a banner. That it's in the historic district. Always been there.
I have a question on it. A temporary sign shall not be located within 10 feet of the edge of the pavement. So when people run for election, just pick election signs, or you can pick a Canal Fest sign. People put them in that little space between the sidewalk and the road, that grass. Well, that's less than 10 feet from the road, so
It's also part of the public right of way.
Excuse me?
It's also part of the public right of way, which has always been prohibited. That's why it's in the public right of way.
So we're gonna start enforcing that?
Yeah.
If we pass,
Nah,
You're gonna
no.
be busy.
Actually,
Hire somebody to do that.
Who's gonna do that job?
well, but we're reviewing it. So now's the time if we want to change it.
refuse to
Okay.
take their sign down.
Correct?
Well, it's like any other zoning violation, they get a violation letter. They get a letter saying you're in violation of our zoning code, just like if you don't mow your lawn, they get a letter that they're in violation, okay? Do we really want signs, political signs, or banners on public property? Do we really want that? Do we really want them hanging from the bridge? Do we really want them in kids' territory? Do we want 14 political signs out front here on Ovid Street? Elect Mike Farrar, town supervisor?
I don't think they heard a damn thing. They're there
It's in
for
the
a month
books.
and they're gone.
It's in the books.
You said that's been there though.
Pardon
You
me?
said it's already been there,
Yeah.
right?
But what he's saying,
This is not
they
changing
can't
that.
be in the public right of way. They can't be.
Well, the public right-of-way is more of a safety thing and a vision thing than anything else. Because when you come to a corner, if there's a sign that you can't, you know what I'm saying, you can't see the traffic coming. Like Jim and I had a discussion today, there's a electronic sign in the corner of Noble Road and 89. You can't see the traffic coming from the north, so we moved it. Thank you.
Is there going to be a public hearing on this?
Yes, public hearing will be in August 2nd. Yep.
But this certainly could be amended before then. I mean, you can bring in August amendments that you would like, and they could be reviewed and approved or disapproved. It doesn't have to be this. It's not this or nothing. It's up to this board.
Nobody said it was this or nothing. She just had a good public hearing.
I understand. I'm just speaking to my fellow board members that we don't, it's not this or nothing. We can amend it.
So how would you like to proceed?
It's your law. If you want to suggest changes, go right ahead. I mean, it's...
Correct. Now would be the
You have a
time.
lot more say so in it than anybody else, because you guys are either adopting it or not.
Correct.
Or changing it.
So do you want to...
The planning committee spent a lot of time with this, and this seemed to be the best way to go about it.
Well,
If you don't agree, then you don't agree.
right. Well, one of the things I struggle with, because we constantly get this, the planning board does an outstanding job. I mean, I give a lot of credit to all those people that volunteer their time to do that. But then we get it. We get very little time to digest it. And actually, when we get it, it's the first thing on the cover is, hey, next month we're going to have a public hearing to either approve it or disapprove it. This board really should get it from the planning board and digest it, talk about it, discuss it, see if they want to amend it. Then, in its amended form, it gets scheduled for a public hearing. Because the truth is, we shouldn't amend it on August 2nd after the public hearing. The public hearing's always at the beginning of the meeting, and then if we want to make amendments to it before we decide to adopt it, it changes the whole thing. So the public hearing was really...
How much time do you need to...
I'm just saying there should be some time built in.
I'm
That's
just
all.
asking a question. How much time do you need?
At least a month. There should be a month in between. When we get this, there should be a month for the board to review it and then discuss it. Any changes that they would like to make. This is one man's opinion, but
Thoughts?
I mean, we got 3 of these, right? They're huge. I mean, here's one for the short-term rentals. I got this yesterday.
Thursday.
Huh?
Thursday or Friday, right?
I got it yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, you picked it up yesterday. Well, it was available Friday.
Okay, but I was working, I couldn't get it.
I was working too, but I got mine.
Oh, you're so much more wonderful.
I know that.
wish
I understand that.
I really wish I was you. Here's another one for an anaerobic
You're
digester.
trying to tell me because you're working, you can't come to the town office and pick up your packet ahead of time?
I got it
You have a
yesterday.
key right here.
I got it yesterday.
You have the same opportunity as
Frank,
all.
when'd you get yours? Because yours is still hot.
I got it. Dan, I might be
That's
looking at it.
your choice.
Dan,
if
Did
you
you
want to
have
do that.
time to read all these?
Yes, I did.
And understand them?
6 a.m. I got it, and I started reading till 6:15, and took me till, I left to play golf at
Okay,
8:50.
look, I'm just throwing it out there. If the board doesn't want to chew on this stuff, fine, let's just schedule the public hearing.
No,
Sure, let's schedule these 3 public hearings for August, and then we'll vote on it in August.
I would like some time to review this.
I would too.
Okay, so, yes, sir.
Just as an option that the board could consider, you could set up the public hearings for September.
Yeah.
If you wish.
Yeah.
And that would have a month built in.
But I just want to, we'd have to table this, Steve, or Pat?
No.
Well, you could set the public hearings for 2
September.
months from now, or the September date if you want to.
So you're mad.
Or table it entirely, but if you wanted to, you have.
I just want to know, I have no problem to do that, I just want to know what the process is going to be to make recommendations, or are you going to?
I don't think that's a clear answer. I mean, in my opinion, because for me, this has to do with people's rights and freedom of speech when it comes to certain things. And I guess for me, that's just a big topic. So I don't have a clear answer in terms of, is there just a clear-cut answer for across the board in terms of processes? I don't have an answer for you for that.
Okay. Look it over. Any recommendations or suggestions, I would suggest you send them to Pat, email.
Right, can I ask one question? All right. If I went to the code, section 300-54, and I compared these two, there's a lot of changes, or a lot of the stuff is what was there before?
Yeah, a lot.
A lot of those every quarter? Okay. Could somebody before September just tell us, like, in other words, when we get one of these things,
So what were the
like the
changes?
changes, could they be underlined or, you know, like the computer can make a line through them or something, you know what I'm talking about?
So what were the
Make it yellow
proposed
or
changes? That would be
Or
nice.
what was taken out?
This is not a tweaking sort of thing where we took one section and just changed a few words.
Can you summarize it?
This change, this
The whole
changes-
rewrite?
This
Oh.
rewrote a lot
Oh, all
of
right.
it. I mean, you can always dial up, your code is at the Seneca Falls website. It's very easily accessible to almost everyone.
Easily accessible.
But I could distribute the current code.
I don't think that's necessary, Pat. I mean, it's on our website, there's books, hard copy books, if you don't have a computer, spend some time, look it over, look at the code, what it was. You're all paid public servants, take care of it, and we'll delay the public hearing until September, and you can get any
Well,
recommendations with that.
We aren't going to delay the public hearing until September until we vote on whether we're going to have a public hearing in September.
Yeah.
So the question is, are we going to just amend this cover on each one of these to say September, whatever it is, and then vote on that tonight? The whole
Sounds like
public hearing?
a wonderful idea.
Or are we just going to say, let's talk about scheduling this in August? We'll schedule September in the August meeting. We can do
Well,
that.
I'd like to amend this resolution to make it whatever September is, I'm not quite sure. I don't have my,
September 6th.
what is it?
September 6th.
6?
I think so. September 6th.
September 6th it is.
Okay.
I got a Rotary meeting, can't be here. Okay, September 6th it is. Pat, can we do that then officially?
Yes, it would be, so you have a motion and a second, so you need a motion to amend.
Okay.
Make
With
the motion
with
to
the new
amend.
date, and then that would need to be seconded.
So Don's going to make a motion to amend the public hearing to be moved to September 6th, 2022. I will second that. Any questions on the amendment? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay.
Now vote on the amended version of the resolution itself.
Thank you. We have, I'd like to make we have a resolution introducing a proposed local law that will be in September 6th of 2022. This local law will be dealing with signs from our zoning codes 300-54. Can I have a motion for the amended resolution, please?
I make the motion.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion or the amendment?
To hold the public hearing. Right?
Correct.
In September.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed?
I have a question, Pat.
Yeah.
This has to go to the county planning,
Yes.
so what do I send and what we have now, or
For
what?
right now, I would say hold off on that until August. To plan on getting this to the county planning board for their August meeting.
For the August meeting?
Yes.
And this board should plan on discussing this at the August meeting, correct?
Yeah.
Any changes or amendments that we want to make?
Okay. So Pat, I don't have to do the rest of it at this point, or do I do?
What do you mean the rest of it?
Uh,
So we had the secret resolutions?
Why don't we wait till last to do that? Because
Secret resolution?
I would, anyone has?
if he changes it, it could affect the seeker technically.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like we have a full period of time between the August date, the August meeting and the September date. If it was going to be tight, I would say let's do it tonight, but if we want to put it on the agenda, as a reminder to discuss these local laws at the next meeting, and we can also take action on the seeker resolutions.
Okay, Nikki, so all the same would be the seeker as well? Okay. And again, the seeker is just one of the hoops you gotta jump through. I mean, this obviously, none of these have any environmental impact. It's just a hoop you gotta
Well, an
jump.
anaerobic digester facility may have,
That might have some environmental
Yes.
impact, yeah.
Yes, so, but it's on the short form, environmental assessment form. We will notify other agencies involved in it, including our neighboring municipalities,
Have
and
a
see
good
if
night.
they have any comments on any of it. But, yeah, that's why we need to do the secret resolution a month ahead of any action being taken, so we can notify everybody else who's involved, get their input.
Okay. All right. So, with that, do I even read these resolutions, or should we?
Oh, we might have questions on the other one.
Right, I know, but I'm under the impression that you want a month to review each of these things. Right?
I review them, so.
I did too, but, right, you want a month to review the next two as well?
yeah.
I didn't say I wanted a month to review the next two.
I'm sorry?
I did not say that.
Okay.
I would. I'd like to move them all to September 6th.
Do you want to do that?
Yep, that's fine. I'll move to September 6th, yes.
Caitlin? You want time to look them over?
Sure. That's fine.
So Pat, with that,
So you could do the same thing and set up a public hearing for September 6th, or you can just table both, and we can do this all next month with the scheduling the public hearing, doing the secret resolution.
I'd rather not read them into a resolution, I'd rather just change the date to...
Oh, yeah.
You change the date
You
to
can amend it
September
before
6th?
you can amend it before you read it.
Okay,
Certainly.
again, you want to spend time looking them over. Any questions or any suggestions for change, send those to Pat, okay? And then we'll have the public hearing in September for these as well.
Well, I'd like to ask a couple questions. I just want to make a comment on the short-term rental one. The county issues a certificate of authority. So a person wants to do a short-term rental, they have to register with the county, and then after all the paperwork is done, then the treasurer of the county issues a certificate of authority to the short-term rental. So, and they have to post that on the premises to show that, hey, they know they've got to pay the occupancy tax. That's okay. And we're going to be doing a permits also. So the person, it'd be sort of like a building permit. Sometimes you have to go to the town and then you have to go up to the county. That's all I'm saying.
It's a very short application that we put
Yeah.
together that, you know, just...
I just want to say that, you know, people have to go to two spots, that's all. That's my only comment.
That's for the ones who actually...
The ones that comply, which we will catch them. And then on the other one, on the digester, I didn't know the difference between a large one and a small one. Is it done by square feet, cubic feet, size?
I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's done by volume. I'm not 100% sure. But again...
A small would be defined as 10 acres, I believe. It is.
No, but I mean the size of the
25,
digester.
that would be large.
The large one goes to
Oh,
25 megawatts, and that would put it into a different category that would be regulated by the state. That's
Okay,
the
but I'm just talking about if I was driving down the road and I saw the digester, right? It would be made out of some kind of metal or plastic, right? I mean, how big is it gonna be? Is it gonna be the size of a Volkswagen, or is it gonna be the size of a tractor trailer? I mean...
anything, I mean, they can be quite large, but the point of the differentiation between the small and large is that the large ones, we're not going to be able to regulate those really even if we wanted to. It's going to be subject to the state deciding process.
And keep in mind, there's nothing in the books to address anaerobic digestion. That's why we're adding that type of thing, which is, you know,
So
coming
if
down the
I
line.
go online tonight and look at, I could see a picture of what
Yeah.
one looks like?
Yeah.
Okay.
Google it.
Yeah, I'm going to, because I have no idea what a digester looks like. You know.
Start down your sewer plant.
sewer plant has two of them.
Does yours make more than 25 megawatts of
Doesn't make any.
electricity?
None.
So if you have a digester that just doesn't do anything except digest, it could be the size of the sewer plant?
There's two units, two columns, two big buildings with a digester.
Yeah, and what
We
I'm
saw where they
saying,
Well,
it makes,
digesters don't produce that.
he's saying it makes electricity, so
Yeah,
the
no,
one,
it makes
right,
gas.
25
Yes.
megawatts?
Produces gas. Produces methane.
Right, but they use it to make electricity.
Converts
Then they use the
methane,
methane.
converts methane to a usable, renewable.
Right.
No, it produces
understand.
methane. The methane is then used as a fuel.
Right,
to
and all
power
I'm
and
saying
generate.
is they got the
No,
the
the
sewer-
methane gas in an anaerobic digester comes from animal waste, and it converts the methane gas from animal waste into a usable gas that can be sold for renewable energy. It's-
I understand, I'm just curious if the digester on somebody's 10 acres is gonna be as big as this room. That's all I'm asking, a simple question.
No,
How
I
big
know
is the
what you're asking. Nobody's saying nothing. You're right. You're 100% right. Look it up. 100%. Okay. I have a resolution here. This is, we moving from last month, to support an authorization for the town of Seneca Falls 2022 New York State Consolidated Funding Application, non-agricultural, non-point source planning grant. Whereas the town of Seneca Falls, Seneca County supports the submission of a 2022 Consolidated Funding Application, CFA, whereas New York State Environmental Facilities provides a competitive statewide reimbursement grant program, whereas the town of Seneca Falls meets the municipal medium household, whereas its funding is received will allow the town of Seneca Falls to complete study and prepare a preliminary and engineering report that is intended to address the sewer collection system inflow and infiltration issues. Now therefore resolve the town board on behalf of the town identifies the town supervisor as the authorized representative. Be it further resolved, et cetera, et cetera. Thanks for helping me on that, Frank. Appreciate the. Can I have a motion for this, please?
Oh, sorry, yes, I make a motion.
Any second?
Second.
Great. Any questions or discussions for Rhonda?
Yeah, a lot of discussion. Because on the very bottom, I mean, this kind of reads like it does read. The town does hereby authorize highways, local matching funds, a minimum 20% of the total grant funding awarded in the form of in-kind services cash contribution hereby appointed from the sewer fund. But this is, where is it? Yeah, I mean, whereas, right, it's the whereas that you're right. The sewer, this is intended to address the sewer collection system and inflow of infiltration, that's rainwater, surface water, into the sewer system, enabling the town to seek further financing for the construction through the appropriate avenues and funding to kind of address those issues. But on the very bottom, there's a be it further resolved that the town of Seneca Falls recognizes fully supports the submission of the 2022 CFA for an NPS for an investigation into how to replace the Bayard Street culvert. And again, if we pass this, and they apply for this is the last board crossed this bridge, but if we approve going after a grant to address that Bayard Street culvert and we get approved for the grant, then we are obligated to do that project. That project prior to COVID was estimated between $1.75 million to $2.25 or $2.5 million. That project before COVID. Now we all know what's happened to the prices since COVID, and that's an old engineering report, right? It's a couple of years old now, at least, and the prices have changed. So before we ever apply for a grant for that project, at the very least, we should go out and do another engineering estimate of what that project is going to cost. Because here we're flying blind if we approve that. That's one piece. The other piece is the state says it's not theirs. Nobody has been able to determine who owns the property, who owns the culvert. That hasn't been determined. I would like to suggest, since we have a brand new town manager, very talented man, that should be a task that he should be given to go out there and see if he can figure out, since it's got to be owned by someone. And I think that'd be perfect for him to, and it could save this town potentially $2 million if it clearly is, it's the state's. Thirdly, even if it belongs to Seneca Falls, it was totally, and it is compromised, I'm not saying it is, but say it's compromised to the point, oh, there's no cracks, there's no settling, there's no evidence, but say it is compromised. It was compromised by state waters and state neglect. There's a tree laying right there at the mouth of that culvert today. There's been many that have gone through it, branches. There's a log laying inside of it. There's a log laying at the exit of it. So if it is damaged, the state damaged it by neglect over 100 years by submerging a culvert that was never designed to be submerged. It's exactly the same culvert that goes underneath one of the streets over here behind
Toledo
Street. Thank you, Swayze.
Exactly.
It's exactly the same, and they aren't underwater, and they're still 100% intact. That was put underwater by the state in 1922, they're on the hook for this, folks. We should not be. Now Frank will say, "Well, let's fix it, and then we'll send the bill to this state." Come on. I think Frank's been down at the north end of Lower Lake Road getting some herbage, but you know, there's no way if we aren't going to fix it, and they aren't going to give us money, then we should not be. I'm all for what it says up above. You're applying for grants to do a study on sewer collection system inflow and infiltration issues. Absolutely, this town, we need that big time. But this last clause down here at the bottom has got to go. So I'll offer an amendment to take that off and task our new town manager with getting the answer of one question. Who owns that property? Number one. That's the first question we should get. So I'm going to offer an amendment that we strike the last be it further resolved clause.
Steve, I guess my only question is, didn't we already try to research in terms of, and how far back did they go to try to prove that? And I'm just asking because I know it's the prior board and I wasn't sitting on the prior board. Did they already try to research and how back did they go and they couldn't find?
We did an extensive search.
Okay.
Martin LaJudas did an extensive search. The state did an extensive search, and there's nobody who can say who actually owns the culvert. Obviously, the state owns the canal. The state canal corp owns the canal. They own Benton Creek, but they don't claim ownership. Let me just, the previous history of all this, back when we were looking at this,
I have a motion.
$1.5 million.
I have a motion to amend. It's either got to be seconded or, right, but is it?
Okay, you have a motion on the floor to amend the resolution as written. Can I have a second to the motion? Okay.
If we don't second it, we can't talk about it?
No, that means that it's not going to, we aren't going to strike it.
Oh.
Me just not we're talking about.
I got no second?
Okay, so the motion and to amend it, so did not get to the table. Anyway, so to fix it 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, $1.5 million, let us not forget that the Barrett Street culvert handles all of the water, storm water from the south end of the town, south end, okay? And it is not equipped to handle the events that we have when it rains. Thank God this year there has been no significant events, but in previous years it's not able to handle that. Okay? When I went to the board, the previous board, to ask their permission to do this, the vote was 3-2 not to continue. Even though I was strongly encouraged by Senator Pam Helming and Brian Stratton, who sits on the Canal Corp board, informed me, might apply for a New York Bridge loan, and we will put our finger on it to make sure the town of Seneca Falls gets the grant. And the board decided not to go in that direction at that time. Okay? And this is just for planning purposes. It's not necessarily, it's not a grant to go out and do the actual job. If we get the grant for the planning purposes, then you can make a decision whether you want to take Steve's position, saying, we don't own it, so we're not going to fix it. Or, you know what, I don't know who owns it, but we're going to fix it to take care of the flooding problems in the south part of town, okay? That'll decision you'll make it down the road.
I have a question. So, okay, we go ahead and we get it fixed, okay? We fix it and we get this grant. But then we find out that Canal Corp owns it and is responsible for it. Do we, like, will they reimburse the town? How is that gonna?
I doubt that, but again, we're not even talking about fixing it. This is just a grant.
Right, to apply for the grant.
Correct.
Right.
That's all.
All right, so.
5, 6, 8, 9 months, a year from now, there might be a board meeting where you say, okay, this is what's got to be done, and you'll have to make a decision if you want to actually expend the money use, we can get a grant. I'm 100% confident we can get a grant that would cost us very little to fix the problem. But
Well, don't we
that's a
already
year
know how to
grant.
fix it? I mean, that's what Barton and Judas brought forth. They brought forth like 3 different plans.
Yeah, we know how to fix it.
So why are we trying to get grant money to tell us how to fix it again? I mean,
Is that, go ahead, Rhonda.
So I just want to, a couple of things. Since this is a planning grant and you do need updated estimates and updated conditions, this is going to say the state's going to pay for that investigation, those additional pieces that are needed to bring it up to post-COVID times, as well as a couple more years of wear and tear. So instead of Seneca Falls paying an engineering firm as the town, this grant is to pay for those items to be prepared in this investigation on an engineering side. And then next year, there's different options of grants that you apply for the construction. Now, you don't have to apply next year. You're not locked into saying, great, you got the plan grant award, and now you need to go for construction. You could get the plan and then say, whatever has been discussed here as options, you don't have to apply for additional state funds. So this is essentially paying your bill to do these investigative pieces that need to be most up to date for construction.
And of course, if you do that, right, it's kind of in some people's eyes, it could be admission that, oh, you look at Seneca Falls is doing the investigation, they're doing some engineering studies. It's theirs. Their house. Why would they do it if they don't feel it's theirs?
Because the
I
state...
say we don't touch, I'm saying we don't touch it until somebody can either prove that it is Seneca Falls. And that's what I'd like to task our town manager with. Let's get some fresh eyes on it. Or they either prove that it is Seneca Falls or the state does it, It's obviously, Mike said it. I mean, it's the state water that's flowing through there. It's the state's design. They did it in 1922. They raised, I don't know if anybody realizes that the mill used to be 4 stories tall. The knitting mill, 4 stories tall. They filled in the first story with dirt, because they raised that canal up that far. They raised it up about 20 feet. And that's when that culvert went underwater. And it's theirs. I don't know why it's so unclear to everybody that it should be our burden. It should not be our burden.
I know, and I said in these
Let the
rooms
state
last year...
spend their money to do their own investigation, their own engineering, and fix the damn thing. They're the ones that said they had a problem. Gee. So they inspected our property for us. Why did they do that? Why did they inspect? Why were they putting a diver, which I don't believe they really put a diver in there because you couldn't get a diver down there. We put a sub, a little unmanned remote controlled sub. You couldn't get a remote controlled sub in through all the debris on the south side of that culvert. There's no way they put a diver in there the year before. It's a bold-faced lie. And there's no way you would send a diver in from the canal because that's 300 feet in.
So my question is, are we thinking about repairing from the south side all the way to the end of the canal? Is that what costs $2 million? Or are we just going to fix across the road and that's it?
No, it would be...
The entire length?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
There were 2 or 3 different plans at the time.
There's 3 different plans which addressed,
One was shot down by Bonnet because they owned the property. So that was our approach.
Bonnet doesn't own the property.
They don't own the property.
They do not.
So why was it run by them? They own the They don't own property right there, but they own adjoining property.
They do not own the property.
They don't own any property.
Bernadette does not own the property. Seneca Knit Development Corporation owns the property,
Which is managed by,
which is managed by Bruce Bonifiglia.
thank you. Excuse me,
Not Bernadette, Steve, it's not Bernadette.
Bruce Bonifiglia.
Okay, there's 3 commissioners on it, Jimmy Seneca, Bruce Bonifiglia, and somebody else. It's not owned by
It used to be
Bernadette.
Nizzola.
Okay?
Mike,
And Farrar Lumber owns part of it also.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I was there. Daggers did go down there. They did go in off of Benton's Pit. They went in so far. Stone was coming down from the limestone. They pulled out because they were afraid it would collapse on them. The next step, we sent a submarine, one of the smallest, from the canal in. We found the outlet. And they went in. And I watched the video. I was there. And it is chock full of logs and everything else. There's a lot of debris in there. And that's where it ended. I don't know if Steve ever seen that video or not, but.
I was there with you.
Yes, that's right, you were there, Red. Yeah, you're right, take that back.
No, yeah.
So the problem exists, like when we get the arena events, when the whole south end of town goes eventually into Benton Creek.
Correct.
So
And
so much
Sampson-
water
Sampson
can go
Creek as
from
well.
there to
Sampson
the
as well.
canal. Anyway, this is a planning grant application, nothing more than
Slippery
that.
slope.
Doesn't mean you're gonna start digging and breaking ground tomorrow.
Let the-
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say, wait a minute, do we have a motion? Yeah, who do you got for the motion? I gotta write this down.
Frank,
I think Frank made the motion.
I think Frank did.
And
Just a minute.
I seconded it.
Frank.
Okay.
Frank and John.
Don seconded? Luis.
Dyson.
Dyson.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed?
Opposed?
Carried 4-1.
I didn't hear 4 ayes.
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay.
And then,
But that doesn't.
Don, you already did, Don. Nikki, and then get it to Ryan, please.
It's fine, it's history.
I got a request from the Convention Days. Dear Mr. Farrar, the Seneca Falls Convention Days Committee is requesting to the town for our annual funds of $500, which these funds are able to cover expenses, et cetera, for convention days. Thank you. Thank you. Just briefly, this is a budgeted item. They're just asking for the money. We need board action to move it. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. Is there any other new business for this town board tonight?
Is there gonna be any older business?
We already went through.
Oh, I missed out. But that's okay, I'm gonna talk about it under new business.
Did we do F, before we do that, F on the first page, transfer funds from street
Yes,
fund?
we did.
Did we do that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, we did that.
that's the CHIPS money.
Oh, the CHIPS one, okay.
So anyway, why I'm bringing this up is because I read the article in the Finger Lakes Times that Mr. Farrar wrote, or Michael, wrote about, you know, different things happening in the town, answering a letter from Reverend Stokes. And one part of the thing struck me that, you know, putting the sewer line down the Ludovico Trail could save millions of dollars. Now, I've looked at the town budget, you know, off and on since I've been on the board, and I don't see anywhere in the budget that I could save $1 million. I don't, unless you're gonna lay off half the workforce. So, we have
Don't
the...
fix the culvert.
We don't fix the culvert. We have the opportunity here to save some money, and that's, you know, why we're elected to take a look at it. I know that, yeah, there's preliminary plans being done, there's this and there's that. We have to go back and get a new attorney, which I've found, that's never lost a case for eminent domain. And, you know, who wants to be inconvenienced with the sewer line going down Barrett Street? They're gonna dig up people's driveway, dig up their lawn.
you know, it's gonna be one-way traffic for 4 or 5 months on Barrett Street. There's only 2 ways in and out of Seneca Falls, Barrett Street and Fall Street.
No, they're doing directional drilling, which it really isn't, they aren't gonna be doing much on the road. They're doing directional drilling.
Correct.
And then they come up and then they drill.
Well, they're gonna be doing something on Barrett Street, right?
Yeah.
When they could be going down the trail. So all I'm saying is, if we wanna save millions of dollars, we should start looking back at putting the sewer back down the Ludovico Trail. That's all I'm saying.
The
And
board has
trail-
gone to them, they didn't wanna, they don't wanna do that.
I know, but that's what eminent domain is about. What is good for the public good? That is good for the public good. It saves millions of dollars.
Yeah, but eminent
For me,
domain often is about
So,
last
so
resort.
for me, that's what's important, to save some money. It's just my stand on it. There's no shovel in the ground yet. You don't see any digging, or you don't see that thing going underground anywhere. So I'm just saying, I think we should be looking at going back down the Ludovico Trail to save millions.
Frank, we
Because
just-
when it comes to budget time, you're not gonna save millions of dollars in the budget.
Well,
Good luck, Peter.
just an update on, when Frank had mentioned it to me, I reached out to Lisa, and Lisa's getting back to me on some information. I've been familiar with the whole project. You know, to go back to Ludovico Trail, even though I don't disagree with you, but to go back there would put this whole project behind another 3 years. Okay?
3 years.
At least 3 years. At least. We're talking about engineering design, we're talking approval by the state, which takes months. We're talking about this approval, that approval. You're talking about going back to court. You're talking about, after you go back to court, an appeal process that they're going to appeal. Let's just say the advice of our attorney at the time said, we will win this time. Okay? The first time didn't take into consideration the black eye, blue ear bat. Okay? That was all taken care of. They never went back to court because the board at that time wanted to drop it. Okay? So now you go back to court. Who knows how long it takes to get a court date? Then let's just say we win. The Friends of Ludovico will appeal it, right? So now you're talking, God knows how many years or months in the court system. And at the same time, a whole new plan, engineering plan, has to be developed. And the longer you wait, the more money it costs. Construction costs go up and up and up every minute. The longer you wait, the more it's going to cost. The job needs to be done ASAP. And if I don't see the shovel in the ground, I'm going to recommend that we fire B&L as engineer. No offense. We're getting close. Right now, the problem is, again, you're working with New York State Gas and Electric. You're working with Canal Corporation. We need a right-of-way from New York State Gas and Electric. We need Canal Corp to sign off on us bringing the sewer line in through underneath the canal. A lot of bureaucracy and red tape that these folks have to go through. That's just my take on it.
So before we lost in court for $168,000, the town of Seneca Falls, of course, I wasn't on the board for that. But you guys didn't do any planning or anything? You did nothing?
No, we did have preliminary plans at that point going down the Ludovico Trail.
You got them in a filing cabinet or on a disc or anything like that?
We have a
Like a
rollback
thumb
feature in
drive or something?
AutoCAD. Yeah, I mean, they're all on our drafting software, so nothing was ever finalized, stamped. It was never that far along. I would say we probably had about maybe 75% through drawing documents.
You have 75% of it done right now? To go down the
I would
canal,
estimate
down
that.
the trail?
Of the drafting portion. That has nothing to do with the legal aspect of it. The cost estimates again, and like,
Before you went to court, or for eminent domain, before you did that, you must have had, design plans. You know what I'm saying? Why would you do the eminent domain before you have anything designed?
Well, first and foremost, if you're saying I must have them, I wasn't on the board either.
Oh, you were?
No, I was pretty, that was the Lazaro days.
I'm only on my third year. My third and last year. Anyway, no, I wasn't on the board. Yeah, there was work done, engineering work done. I would probably say 70 to 75% of the engineering work was done. The engineering part was being done at the same time of the eminent domain legislation, okay? Because with eminent domain, obviously, as you know, you're going to have what's good for the community. But there was a problem with the environmental study of the trail, and that's why the court said, no, thank you. And it went back, and when I came on the board and Dawn came on the board, the board made a decision at that time, when Steve came on the board, not to pursue the Love Eagle Trail. So all that ended, and then we're on Barrett Street now.
I've always been in favor of coming down Fall Street, because that's, really needs to be redone. Just so you know.
And
do all the other
just so you know,
We got 3 different locations now.
Well,
and as you know,
we'll be doing this.
just so you know, Jim and I, or Jim facilitated a meeting with our local New York State Transportation Director, Tony something, and we went up and down Fall Street together. He's not optimistic, but he thinks there'll be something in the pipeline in 2 or 3 years for road construction on Fall Street. So, because it's in rush shape. Okay. Any other new business for this board? And a motion to approve water credits
I make the motion.
for this month. Second, please. Thank you. Any questions? All in favor, please say.
Yeah, how come the water wasn't, look, I go on Chestnut Street all the time and mow my mother's lawn. Okay.
You get a violation?
No, I make sure to cut it before it's 5 inches, but the thing is, I read that water main break there on Chestnut Street, okay? They were on vacation for 7 or 10 days, the bill was $11,000. How come it wasn't coming out the cellar window?
It was.
And I didn't see it in the street.
It was in 2019.
2019?
Yes, and it's been off since then. So if you look back, 3/31/2019, that's when James Brickfield was reading. He called me and said that water was pouring out of the windows. That's when we called them
Oh,
to
so
tell
it
them.
must have been a day I didn't go visit my mother because she was alive in
In March.
2019. I used to go every day, but that's okay. All right, I'm just curious
And
why it
he had
wasn't
to
coming out of
swing-
the windows.
He had to
It has
swing
an
through the windows to
$11,000
get the
bill.
water shut off, so.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Can I have a motion to pay the bills, please?
I make the motion.
Second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor to pay the bills for the month, please say aye.
Aye.
I have a motion that we enter into executive session. I move that the board go into executive session to discuss the employment history of a particular town personnel under Public Officers Law, Section 105F, and to discuss the sale of public property. Have a motion, I made a motion, have a second for that, please?
Second.
And I'd like to invite Town Attorney Morrell into executive session. All in favor to enter into executive session, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. There'll be no action after the executive session, so we'll just come back out and adjourn. Have a great night, and thank you for coming.
When you're in a position, to straighten this town out.